have been said by Bungie, and they're not good. Yes, that's right. As of February the 22nd this year, several pieces of content will be locked and thrown away. Not just any content, however. Paid DLC content. The Forsaken content will be locked behind a paywall. Now, to understand why this is important, I have to explain a few things. So, number one, this game was not originally free. Let's make that clear. It's free to play now, but it wasn't originally. Forsaken at launch, you have to keep this in mind, was around the same price as Beyond Light, which is about £40. If I remember correctly, it was around there. Now, to their credit, Forsaken went on for free with Shadowkeep later. I believe. At least, I believe that's what it was. But as you can see, the game became more and more and more pay to win. Well, pay to play, I would say. Silver is just for cosmetics, but all these are DLC you need to play the game. And as you can see, as soon as this download is done, so I'm just gonna shut up. Anyway, as soon as that download is done, well, then this video will really begin. This has just been a small intro to the video, and yeah. But while I'm waiting, I guess I can explain a couple of things. Yes, this removal content is something, but it doesn't really surprise me. And, well, the reasons kind of date back a long time. I'm sorry that there's nothing on the screen right now. But to begin, initially, during the release of Destiny 2, there was a couple of things that happened. I mean, first of all, they changed the story a lot of times. They went through several different things where they kept trying to rebrand the game, and kind of, I'm sorry, this is like boring for you guys, so one sec. I'm just gonna pull up random Destiny 2 footage. My own, so no one can complain. Just random footage. Let's see if I can find one that's long for you guys. There's one. Sorry, I know. It's annoying. I should have done this before. Um, so, sorry, this is, like, I am not very good at making videos. But yeah, as I was saying, basically, is this Destiny 2? Oh, this is Destiny 1. Fuck, I'm sorry, I'm, like, tired, dude. Sure, let's just do my shitty out the map video, dude. Whatever. Um, I mean, for a start, this is way old, but whatever. Well, Destiny 2 has a lot of problems. I think, as someone that's been playing this game, played this game, for a long time, even since Destiny 1, which you don't need to play to understand the story, by the way. It helps, but it's not a requirement. Um, it has a few simple issues, but it also has some major issues. I think that, um, the choices that Bungie makes are often counterintuitive, kind of anti-consumer choices where, you know, they make a lot of these choices that just don't make any sense to anyone. A lot of the time, it's things that other people might not understand why this choice is bad, but like to long-term players, they see what they're doing and they see how it affects long-term and new players. Generally, it's things like they had a lot more maps and a lot more planets before, and a lot of those maps and planets were removed recently, fairly recently, which makes it so that new players don't even get to experience that content. Now, that content wasn't very good anyway, but that's not the point, right? The point is that a lot of content was removed. Now, this content was free, to be fair. It wasn't, some of it was DLC content, but it was kind of crappy DLC content that maybe wasn't relevant anymore. That's fair enough, right? The problem, however, is when it gets to stuff that it's when it gets to the systems of the game. The systems of the game are kind of difficult to explain, but everything is kind of built around one system. Everything is built around the light level system. And so initially, before kind of Forsaken, everything was like, if you have this gear, you are this light level. Stuff changed around a few times, but that was the general gist. That was not long. I I'm sorry. I'll try and find some more content, but anyway, the general gist of it was if you have a certain amount of if you have a certain amount of armor and weapons, you get to a certain level, which at the time was a good system. As time progressed, however, it became a bit more of a difficult system to deal with, because what ended up happening is a lot of the stuff that you would need for the light level was, and you can kind of see it here, funny, you can only get into certain things if you're a certain light level. Now, generally I was always above, but this was when I was just grinding through stuff really fast, just matchmaking with whoever I could and running past everything, which is a big issue this game has. However, I believe it was Forsaken, it might have been before, around Forsaken time, Bungie decided to add a season pass kind of thing, and what this did is make the game pay to play. Because in order to progress, you need more light level. And unfortunately, majority of content that you would need to level up, basically, light level, to get the higher light level, is now locked behind a paywall. Which means not only is this now a freemium game, which it wasn't before release, this is a pay-to-play game, which, in terms of sustainability makes sense, but in terms of community does not make sense, because it results in bafflingly stupid decisions from Bungie to do things that are always anti-consumer, but will always give them some kind of profit. We were promised things like the Eververse store, which is basically the microtransaction store for cosmetics, would be toned down. That didn't happen. Instead, Bungie put in a transmog system that is incredibly grindy and requires you to basically pay to get more of the thing you need to even transmog in the first place, which makes it feel sloggy and disgusting. Which is another problem this game has, is grind. It's very, very grindy. Sorry, my mouse died. And not just like in a typical sense, mostly in the light level sense, but a lot of the seasons, especially when you've done the season content, even before the season pass this happened, once everything was done, you were kind of stuck in this like just vapid space of like nothing. I don't claim to be the best Destiny player in the world. I'm sure I die in this clip probably, right? I definitely am not a pro player at the game, but there are certain things that really annoy me about it. Like I said, a lot of content was locked behind paywalls. Normally season pass content, but also a lot of this is content locked behind DLC paywalls, where if you're a free player, you basically can't do anything. But anyway, what was I saying? Yes, the quiet areas. So you get to a point in seasons where you're either the max light level or basically the max light level. You've done everything. You've done all the new raids, you've done all the new content, and there was nothing else to do but bounties, which boil down to go to place A, kill person, you have completed the bounty, and you get like five gold glimmer in this case, but you know what I mean. Which is very vapid and boring and gets very, very old fast. Even with all the various different abilities and things you get in the game, some people find enjoyment from just spamming raids. I personally find that boring. Once you've done a raid 3 or 4 times, you don't really want to do it again. And there was nothing to engage you, basically. Apart from maybe weekly nightfalls, which either were way too easy for their own good or way too hard for their own good. So the balance of that was terrible. Now, whether that's changed or not since the last time I left, I'll be completely honest with you and say that I haven't played this game in a long time, and maybe they've made that slightly better. Sorry, my mouse keeps dying. But I will be honest and say I don't think they have. I think I'm not sure what I was doing there, but sure. I think that's an unlikely an unlikely thing. Um, you know, and I think that those quiet moments are kind of worse for free people, because the people who play for free, I'm assuming there are some of them, have nothing to do, um, yeah, other than PvP. It's okay for people who exclusively play PvP and nothing else, because they can do that. I'm not sure if they even get some of the new maps. I'm pretty sure you can just play PvP and not worry about PvE. If you're a free player, that's probably all you're doing. I'm gonna be honest, but if you want to play PvE and get to a decent level, it's very hard to do that without grinding for ridiculous time, or um, or paying. And it's very much purposely designed in a way to push you towards paying money, because it's a lot easier than sitting there and grinding the same bounties over and over and over and over. And it's a shame, because there are good points to this game. There are good things about this game, but it's held back by the greed and the just constant baffling decisions made by Bungie. Every time we think there's a positive thing that could come from Destiny 2, like, hey, there's this new cool expansion, they mess it up with a decision that is anti-consumer. Anyway, we're back, and back from the break. Yeah, as I was saying, Bungie have made a lot of, I mean, you can see it from the Ghost, anti-consumer decisions, just locking as much content and things, and things that maybe don't necessarily need to progress, but things that definitely help further help make progression, actually viable. And it's really a shame, because there's the core of a good game existing in this game. I quit as soon as paid transmog was announced, because, frankly, in my opinion, the game had become very much over monetized, to the point where if you weren't paying them money for the seasonal pass content, which by the way would go away eventually after a time and wouldn't get added to the game permanently, so you were paying for something that would go away regardless. Well, like, it just became this kind of pointless waiting quest of like, what do I do when I've done seasonal content, and now that seasonal content is still there and I can replay stuff, but there's only so much replay value you can get out of certain content. And again, once you've done all the raids, and then as a PvE player mainly, you're kind of trapped doing nothing essentially. Um, as an example, not that. As an example, there were several moments where I just got so bored that I would literally go out the map and like explore out the map because there was nothing else to do, or find places outside the map, or believe that was the last Destiny 2 one I did. Trying to find one. Like, I didn't make much content on the game, honestly. I made a lot more content on Destiny 1 on my other channel, which I don't really talk about because I abandoned that one. Why is this not loading, dude? Come on. So I did play a little bit of PvP. This is PvP. Well, this is PvPVE, so it's like a mode that's kind of both. It's weird. Gambit is not fun, by the way. It's garbage. There's literally glitches that you can do to just instantly win. So if people know how to do those glitches, you instantly lose. There's a weapon, exotic weapon, which is like the highest class, that if you have it, you instantly win. I think I'm using a really overpowered one in this. I'm not using the exotic weapon, but I was using one that... This did get nerfed, this weapon I'm using. As you can see, I'm not good at PvP at all. I die almost immediately. But so I don't really play PvP that much. But for people that are just PvE players, you kind of, again, you get stuck in this sort of rut where there's just nothing to do. But bounty grind or just meet up with people and fuck around. And that's great for about 5 minutes, but it gets really old, like, really fast. Especially for people that are, like me, and are very much set on what's the word, very much set on one aspect of the game. Maybe people will be like, well, you're not playing it correctly. You're only playing one aspect. You're supposed to play PvP when there's not any PvE. But I feel like that's bad design. I feel like that's designed to push you into wanting to be in a cosmetic end game where you're buying cosmetics and seeing which ones work and which ones don't. And now they've done this thing where Forsaken's going away, and I feel like the game is now becoming even more pay to play, because in order to upgrade stuff, so armor, to higher light levels so that you can use that armor, because you like the look of it. You need materials, and these materials can be found by grinding planets. Now, there's several ways you can do that. You can do a bunch of quests, you can do dailies, you can do like events that come down that are kind of like, every generic event ever. It's called public events. It's like the Final Fantasy events where it just spawns. Um, or you can go to a trader in the Forsaken area and trade one material that maybe you have too much of for another. But not all the materials are there every day. It changes daily, which is a nice touch. It's good for new players that don't have as many of those materials because some of the planets disappeared. Now, again, hold my hands up, maybe they've changed the system, but to my knowledge I don't know that they have. If that trader goes away, what happens is that the materials that you need become almost impossible to find. Not completely impossible, I don't think. I mean, maybe some of them will, since they're not on the planets, and I'm pretty sure some of them you can only get from that trader. Hopefully they'll change the requirements for the armor upgrades. They probably will, right? They're pretty good at minor stuff like that, but I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't, necessarily. Because then it makes it more easier to fall into a habit of just equipping newer stuff from the paid stuff, from the season pass, which generally is stuff that is generally content that you either want to do because it levels you up so fast, or stuff from the first game. So kind of like a nostalgia bait thing, where it's like, you remember this gun from the first game that you could get freely without having to pay money? Yeah, well, we want you to get it through this overly complicated quest. I mean, to be fair, you had to do an overly complicated quest in the first game, but now you have to pay for it. And that sucks. It's anti-consumer. It pushes people to pay for something. I mean, generally, every DLC has a catch-up thing where it's like, if you play this DLC, you pay us money, you'll be able to catch up to the next light level fairly easily. But not always. And so if the Witch Queen doesn't have that, which I'm assuming it will, I don't know, then frankly, people who have taken a break and are at lower light levels, and new players that will be at minimum light level, will struggle to get to the level they need without paying. And it feeds into that mentality of like, pay to progress, pay to play, sort of. That the game continually seems to be going down that route, and that's fueled by decisions such as, let's get rid of the planets, let's vault some content. And sometimes it's fair enough, and sometimes it's like, here's a raid that we introduced that was from the first game that's back again, just as a fun nod, right? That's fine. The issue becomes when it's stuff that would help you level up, like the season pass content that you've paid money for, but it disappears. Forsaken is content that people paid a lot of money for. Like, I know it's like free now, but a lot of people, such as myself, paid money for that content, and that stuff is now getting taken away. So the argument there becomes, I've paid money for that. I might still have some of the weapons and stuff, but what did I actually earn now? Because that content, that stuff is gone. Like, what is, like, what was the point of giving you my time and my money and my effort if you're just going to take away the paid DLC content, right? And, I know Forsaken isn't the best DLC in the world, and I'm probably not going to cry over the fact that it's gone, but I feel like it's kind of a shitty decision. Yeah, by the way, you can see the invasion glitch in this. You're not supposed to be able to invade that many times. There's some sort of weird glitch you can do where you can just, like, invade over and over. I don't know how it works, but yeah, you literally can't win, I don't think, in this scenario. I forget. Oh no, I think we have our boss up, so we might win, but like... Oh no, wait, we have our boss up, so yeah, they can invade more. I don't know. Anyway, sorry, that's dumb. I'm tired, but this game is like so buggy that sometimes it's hard to tell what's a bug and what's a feature as well, by the way. Which is not a good thing. Another thing this game does poorly is, like, you can jump into any content at mostly any content at mostly any point as long as you paid for the things. I love how someone called FaZe keeps killing me. That's really funny. Um, you know, yeah. I mean, it's it's just one of those things where it's like you can't really do that much about it. You just kind of have to accept whatever decision Bungie does, and there's very the community is. I've already talked about the community. They're very toxic. At the same time, they're very defensive. If you say anything negative about Destiny 2, despite the obvious facts that yeah, it's not a good game. It's really not. It's designed poorly, in my opinion. They'll go on a massive rant and go on about how you're this and you're that. And it's like, well, that's just my opinion. The game sucks. The game is over monetized. But the moment you call the game greedy, and it is greedy, they will write you off and say that your opinion doesn't matter. And so another reason why the game sucks is it allows those people to exist. The sort of brainless Bungie defenders who, even after people like the community manager Deej left, will continue to defend every decision that this game makes, despite how greedy and egregious it is. Doesn't matter if it's paid transmog, a system that's free in every other game. Doesn't matter if it's I'm going to use an example that didn't happen, just because something I would defend. Doesn't matter if it would be paid raids, people would defend it, and it sucks. It really sucks. The mentality of the community is, but the game's free now. Well, I hate to tell you, it wasn't initially, and it being free doesn't magically, invalidate any criticism towards it. It doesn't magically fix the problems with people leaving Bungie and stuff behind the scenes, and terrible people being allowed at events. I won't go too much into that. I'm sure someone else has already made tons of videos on that subject. There's a ton of behind the scenes stuff that I could go on about forever. But you know, it's a bit of a joke, really. Um, it's it's very much a shame because it feels to me at certain points that maybe certain members of the team were really trying. Um, I feel like Deej was probably the last good member of the team who left. Um, and now every presentation they've done since he's left has been soulless. It's just like a presentation of, yep, this is what's happening in the game. There's little to no fan inclusion anymore, might I add. There used to be a lot more fan inclusion. I don't even know if they still do the whole, whatever that kill the streamer thing was. The little community event they did with the PvP. I don't know if they still do that. If they do, cool or not, cool. But it used to be a lot more, used to feel a lot more community focused. When they had a community manager like Deej, now they have Luke Smith who speaks in a monotone voice and, in my opinion, doesn't really seem to care that much about the game. Just seems to care more about, clearly more about making money. The community will tell you different, but that's the way it comes across. Is a game that's just become soulless and more about making cash and making money than about actually making a good game with a good story. And that's another thing, right? The lore is always locked behind, well, not only paywalls now, because again, the season pass content is always something lore related, and that disappears after a certain time, so FOMO, but also most of it's outside the game. There is a Grimoire in the game actually, but you have to collect fragments or whatever, and not everyone's got the time to find them all. And it sucks to like read an in-game library and explaining all the deep lore. Like it should be in cutscenes, really. You know, there's there's a lot of community aspects that about this game that just kind of suck. This is part one, by the way, of this, whatever this is, a video. Maybe it's 2 videos. I don't know. But part 2, or the next bit, we'll actually be playing the game. I know I'm just showing footage at the moment because it's re-downloading, because I didn't have to expect to do this video, but so many people have come out and said that this game is good, and so I'm doing this video. I'm gonna call it something stupid. I don't know what yet. I don't know whether it's gonna be most garbage games. Maybe not, probably not, because it doesn't really fit that definition. I might call it something like the downfall of Destiny, right? That's what it's going to be about, is this downfall of Destiny. I think that's a good general gisty sounding name, right? Anyway, yeah, it sucks. It really, really sucks. I put a lot of time and effort into the first Destiny game. I completed everything in that game. 100%ed that game. I was very passionate about that game. I loved everything about that game. And there were certain points in Destiny 2 that were high points. Forsaken was really good. Certain points in certain seasons were really good. And then that seasonal content disappeared, and I was upset because because they took it away. Or when they would add it as a full mode, like the time they had added this one mode that was really fun, they patched out a glitch that gave more rewards than normal, just because, it was a glitch, and it changed the fundamental way the mode worked. It made the mode boring, because the whole point of that mode, it was fun, and it gave double the rewards because of the glitch, and everyone knew how to do the glitch. So, yeah, okay, it wasn't what was designed, but it made the mode more fun. So them removing that, it took away the core aspect of that mode. It made it boring. It made it less worthwhile to do. And it's things like that where it's like, you understand why they do these things. It was something not designed by the game. It was a business decision, whatever, right? But it's always a decision that feels against the players. It's always something that feels either motivated by just simple, like, oh, well, it's not what we designed, or business reasons. And that sucks. That really, really sucks. Yeah. So this is end of segment 1. Segment 2, we'll be playing the game and showing you why this game is absolutely fucking broken. To the point where, I'm sorry, but it's undefensible. It's very undefensible. It's not even, it's laughable, is how broken this game is. It's surprising how anyone tries to defend it, honestly. Yeah, that's end of segment 1 anyway. I got bored. So bored. While I was waiting for the thing to download, started watching Nice Cute Oz. Well, anyway. Let's prove the point that Destiny 2's endgame is pay to play, and trying to get into anything that, as a new player, is almost impossible unless you pay money. Selling Run. Can't read that. 1 fresh for free. Fast run, so probably want to know what. £5. Can't read these ones. German only. Mic required, and they probably want to. You probably have to know what you're doing. That's in Russian. Some people doing it for free. But the majority of people doing it for free want you to know what you're doing. I know, this is an easy raid. But this happens on every raid. Selling Run, and there aren't that many people playing the raids anyway. There are a few free ones. But then there are entire websites dedicated to carrying people through the endgame content for money. And as a new player, it's almost it's not impossible, but it's pretty difficult to get into raids for free. £50, £30, £15, not that bad for Vault of Glass. It doesn't seem bad. And no, these aren't official websites, but Bungie don't do anything to try and take them down either. And it's not just for the raids. We're talking dungeons. Sure, how people can give you the stuff, but I'm sure they have codes for it. PvP carries. Farms for the weapons, farms for the tiles, even some of the stuff from the past, even the freaking season pass leveling, they'll do for you. There's another website, and you start to get the idea, right? That while these are not official, this is the sentiment in the community. And if you're a new player, pretty much forced to either pay for stuff, or just hope that someone somewhere is doing it for free, which there are still plenty of good people in the community doing it for free. So you might get lucky, but most people want people with mics. Not everyone has a microphone. Most people expect you to join Discord if you're on PC, or a party if you're on PlayStation. And the majority of people help the majority of people sort of want you to know what you're doing. Sorry, I was just looking at cute Oz because I'm fucking had a bad day today, but there we go. Another website, like, I don't think I need to explain why this game is pay to play, and the community is fine with that and promotes that. FOMO as well. This one has FOMO. Week 1 pre-order carry for the new raid that isn't even out yet, £172. Like, it's just ridiculous, dude. Ridiculous. Finally, we can get into the actual game and prove to you why it's absolutely broken. If the game wants to work. What happened there? I don't know. Weird. Sorry, it does this sometimes. this. Hang on. That's different. Okay, that's being annoying. Today would be nice. Yeah, whatever. Not sure why there's no sound, but any day. Yep. No, I really can't tell if it's loading or not. That's how good this game is. Great. It. Cookie. I'm keeping this in. I... that's way more, by the way. I've played it for way more than that, definitely. We try again. Sorry about this. This game is buggy as balls. Cool. No, it's broken again. Yep. Probably. Yep. This is just ironic. I'm keeping this in. Really? Yeah. Okay, to save you guys time, I'm going to cut the video. Because, yeah, but you get the point. Is it finally going to let us play the game? This is after I've verified all the files. And just to chime in, you know what? No. I refuse to reinstall this game again, because the help article literally tells me to do that. So instead, I'm just going to show you a speedrun by someone else, just to prove this game is absolutely fucked. This is by Tifu. Yeah, you don't have to fight any of the enemies. This happens in a lot. You can just skip most things. I'm not kidding. And so hopefully I've explained my points well enough. Hopefully I've explained why this game is fundamentally broken. The fact that you can just skip missions, the fact that big level up content is locked behind season pass that makes you pay money, and as a free player you're kind of stuck doing nothing. The fact that a lot of stuff just gets removed out of nowhere for absolutely no reason. I'm just gonna random gameplay again while I talk from before because I can't get the game to work. Because they've added an anti-cheat system that makes the game buggy is more buggy even than it was. You know, the fact that you can go out of the world wasn't enough. Now the game doesn't even open properly, and I can't be bothered to sit here and reinstall the game again just because the game doesn't want to work properly, you know? The community aspect of the game is fucked. The end game boils down to a repetitive grind of the same couple of things over and over and over. Do you want to do PvP bounties? Do you want to do PvE bounties? But they're basically go here, kill X, repeat. Go here, kill X, repeat. And sure, the raids are probably the best content in the game, but as I've shown, getting into the raids is almost never easy. People either expect you to know exactly how to play the raid, or sorry, I had that on 2x speed, or pay, um, or, and I'm not making this up, I've had people tell me this, if you don't know how to play a raid, people sometimes expect you to go to YouTube and find a tutorial on how to play the endgame content. Watch it, memorize everything in it, and then they'll let you play the content with you. I don't really think I need to explain why that's exclusionary to newer players. You know, I'm trying to be as critically fair as possible, but the game sucks. It just does. You know, I don't think it's defensible anymore. I think that the more decisions that Bungie make that are anti-consumer, the more it's plainly obvious that they care more about money and cosmetics um, than the player base. You saw it before where, you know, I had the beach ball ghost that was like a beach ball. They couldn't care less about the style of the game. It's supposed to be a space game, but a beach ball ghost obviously doesn't fit that theme. You know, they'd rather sell flashy cosmetics than actually give a crap about the core issues with the game, the core grindiness and just the mindless, soulless, uncaring boredom of the end game that just ends up being the same repetitive tasks over and over and over. Unless you're a PvP fan, in which case you're probably just doing this all day. Gambit, which, you know, is fine, I guess. It has its problems. But yeah, I think that that pretty much gets my point across, so, yeah.